Hello, my name is Kerri Carte and I work for WVU Extension Service in Kanawha County as the Family and Community Development Agent. The holidays are coming around, big family gatherings are happening, and a lot of people dread cooking. But one of the problems with dreading cooking is they don't like chopping everything. But I'm going to make that a little easier for you here today. First of all, you only need 3 knives in your kitchen. Everybody thinks you need all kinds of knives for certain things. You don't. You need a good bread knife. You need a good chef's knife and a good paring knife. Now the first thing that has to happen is these knives have to be sharp. If you have a dull knife, you are much more prone to cut yourself and it makes the work a lot harder. A sharp knife will slide through the food and make your job easier. Now there are lots of options for sharpening of knives. This is an electrical sharpener that you plug in. They're quite expensive, but they are very good. They can have an original first sharpen and then a second sharpen that does the fine honing of it. This is what professionals use. This is called a honing steel or a honing rod. And what they will do is they will take it and they will slide it down across the blade. And then they use whetstones. These are actual stones. They'll get them wet and they'll run the blade across. You can tell this one has been well used with all the marks on it. I will tell you, if you're going to go this method, you really need to know what you're doing because it can be very difficult, very challenging, and you can really hurt your blades. So for most of us at home, these aren't the options that we're going to use. What we're going to use is some kind of a home item. This is a very inexpensive knife sharpener that will work. This is a little bit step up that I use. I think this one's probably $5, $7. This one's probably a little closer to $25. This is way easy to use. All you do is you set it down on your countertop. You get a nice firm grip on it. This has a nice rubber botting that tracks it so it won't slide on you. And you have a coarse and you have a fine. So you take it, you start at the beginning and you slide it through, okay? A nice even slide, not a ton of pressure, just a little. Once you do that for several times, you run it through, usually about 20, you run it through the fine. You want to try not to jag it through because that will put divots in the edge of your blade and put nicks in it. You don't want to do it. These have been freshly sharpened. They're really nice and sharp. So let's talk about the 3 reasons we only need 3 knives. That's because they each have their own particular job. Obviously, a bread knife is just for that. Now you'll notice a bread knife is serrated, okay? Yes, it needs sharpened, but not nearly as often. Some people can go a year or 2 years without sharpening, depending on how much bread they cut. But if you do go to cut it, you can't use one of these commercial markets. You're gonna have to use a honing knife and go in between all the serrated dips to sharpen it. It is a lot of work, but it will make cutting your bread much easier. This is your kitchen staple, right here. This is your chef's knife. They come in 6, 8, and 10 inches. This one is an 8-inch. It's a fairly heavier weight. I like a heavier weight handled, but that's a personal preference. You can use really expensive knives if you want to invest in them. They are a long, long one. This is a little bit higher grade of a knife. I've been using it for probably 15 years. So it is a good investment. But if you don't have the funds to do that, your local retailer will have a decent knife that you can get. Just make sure you handle it, make sure you get a good grip on it in the store, make sure it's not too heavy or too light for you, and then make sure the blade is long enough for what you want. Like I said, this blade is a pretty common length of a blade that will get you through most of your heavy-duty work. And the last one that I have is a paring knife. This is a very inexpensive paring knife I bought locally at a retailer. I've also been using it for many years. You know, it's been sharpened a lot, but it still works great. This is for all your delicate work. So let's start with some examples of how we use these 3 different knives. Obviously, I'm going to start with the bread knife. I have a lovely loaf of bread here. A bread knife, you want to hold it nice firm handle. A bread knife you want to saw. So you're going to grab it and hold on to it, and you're going to saw the bread through. Now you can see I don't have hardly any crumbs on my counter. If you start getting a lot of crumbs on the counter when you cut or on your breadboards, then it is time to invest in a new knife. It should go through the bread easily without any trouble, okay? And you saw with it because it obviously has the teeth that you can saw with. The next one is for chopping. Let's talk a little bit about cutting and safety while cutting. Most people think they're going to hold the food down and take the knife. Well, the problem with that is the fingers get in the way, right? So what we like to teach is a bear grip, a bear claw grip. Now what that means is we're not going to hold the food straight out. We're going to curl our fingers under and hold it this way. So I'm going to work with one at a time, curl it up underneath. The tip of the blade stays on the knife board at all times, so it never leaves the cutting board. The food is what moves along. So I'm going to cut off the end here and discard it, and then I'm going to simply move my food. You see how I'm rocking back and forth? The tip is never leaving the cutting board, and I'm feeding the food right through the center, and it makes nice even cuts. Very easy to cut through this carrot because it's very sharp. Another thing with a sharp knife is if you by chance do cut yourself, the cut will be way less severe than if it is a dull knife. A dull knife, when it cuts through your skin, rips and shreds the skin and makes it very painful and very difficult to heal. If you would by chance slice yourself with a sharp knife, it makes a clean cut, and surprisingly it doesn't hurt very much. But just remember, tip on the blade on the board, put your bear claw into place, and then cut. And the third one I'm going to show you is that paring knife for all of our delicate work. I have some beautiful fresh strawberries here, freshly washed of course, because I've washed all of my counter and everything beforehand and sanitized it all. So when you get into this delicate work, obviously you're not going to bear claw it, you're going to smash that strawberry. So you have to use your hands to hold things, hence one of the reasons why you want a smaller knife. It's easier to control and it is safer. So the first thing I'm going to do is obviously core it. A paring knife is nice and short at the bottom, and you can get in there and core with ease, especially if it's sharp, and it pops right out. Then you can take and hold your knife and you can slice right through those strawberries very easily. And I'll show you again, it's very easy to do. Take the tip in and twirl it right around. That way you don't lose too much of the strawberry. And slice it. You can slice them long ways also, makes beautiful round rings. But you can see you have to hold it because you can't use that bear claw grip on it. You have to hold it right. And then your strawberries are all ready to go.